High in the New Zealand Alps, Sir Edmund Hillary, conqueror of Everest, is on the ascent again. He's 60 now and climbing with his 25-year-old son, Peter, himself an accomplished mountaineer. This climb's a very special one for Hillary, for here on these very rocks, some 40 years ago, he took his first tentative steps on the long, hard trail to the roof of the world. This peak, Mount Ollivier, was the first peak he ever climbed.
Even now, some 40 years later, I can still remember the intense pleasure of that day, the exhilaration of the ascent, and what a thrill it was when I finally reached the summit. It was certainly one of the happiest days of my life. I still recall as a young man of 20, sitting here spellbound by the great peaks all around. They looked so huge and challenging, and I resolved I'd climb them someday.
And so he did, and often by difficult new routes, including one on New Zealand's highest peak, Mount Cook. Then, seeking even greater challenges, he headed for the Himalayas, and there in 1953, he fulfilled his greatest ambition. He climbed Mount Everest. But now his mind's filled not with memories, but with plans. He's here to prepare for another adventure. Once more, he's to journey far beyond these homeland peaks, back to the greatest mountains of all. "30 years ago, when man had begun exploring outer space, there still remained right here on Earth a region that Western man knew almost nothing about. To the north of India it lay, high in the Himalayas, the forbidden kingdom of Nepal. Here, still unrevealed, lay some of the world's most beautiful scenery, peaks towering higher than anywhere else on Earth. And there in the east of the kingdom rose the highest of them all, Everest. Below its icy slopes lived the Sherpas, who'd come across the passes from Tibet some centuries ago, established villages here, and in Shangri-La settings built monasteries, remote, undisturbed. Then in 1950, Nepal opened its doors to the world, and the monks of the Everest region now share their seclusion with 10,000 visitors a year. And now tourists graze where the yaks once grazed alone, and stroll the rhododendron-lined paths, overawed by the beauty of this once forbidden land. Among them, one who is no stranger, a man perhaps better known and more admired by the Sherpas than any member of their own community. 45 times he's visited the region on a vast range of projects and expeditions. And this time, his plans include a journey with the migrating yaks to a sacred lake near Everest. But first of all, down there in the village of Chandrikaka, there's something very special to be done.
These children are the main reason I'm back here again. Over the years, I've developed a deep affection for the Sherpas. And long ago, I asked my Sherpa friends that if there was just one thing I could do for them, what would they like it to be? Without hesitation, they all replied, we would like a school for our children.
In 1961, he began to build schools for the Sherpa children, and built one here at Chandrikaka, where over 100 school-age children lived. But now, some 20 years later, the school-age population has doubled, and their existing building just can't cope. They urgently need an additional building, and once more, they've turned to Hillary for help.
We have a good experienced team to do the job. My brother Rex is a builder by trade back in New Zealand, and he's come over here quite a few times to help on these projects. His main assistant is Sherpa Isla, who's 60 years old, but strong as an ox. And fortunately, he has a keen eye as well. But to me, the most important person of all is my old and respected friend Ming Masering. For 20 years, my Sirdar, or local manager. Without Mingma's organisation and authority amongst the Sherpas, I could have done nothing. So it's been a real partnership. Together we should have the building up in about 3 weeks.
Well away from the building noise, the school work goes on, in whatever setting each child finds most inspiring. On such a glorious spring day, a roof over their heads hardly seems necessary. But after spring come the heavy rains of the monsoon, and later the icy winter. In those seasons, a schoolhouse is essential. Although it seems that the work has just begun, the real foundations were laid months ago. First, money had to be found, the $10,000 required being raised by Hillary mainly in Canada, the United States, and New Zealand. Then he had to walk for 150 miles across some of the world's most rugged terrain, with 150 porters, each carrying 60 pounds, about 3 tons of equipment and supplies in all. Not only for the school project, but also for the many other projects administered by Hillary's Himalayan Trust. There's tools and nails, medicines, hospital supplies, window glass, roofing materials, school books, tents and food, even a generator. Ten miles from the school site, the floorboards, wall and roof linings are taking shape. And the strongest boys have volunteered to take a day off school to carry them back to the building site. There's certainly no lack of energy or enthusiasm. It's the village school, and everyone's doing what they can. It's 10 in the morning, and Hillary's old oxygen cylinders are calling over 1,000 children to the 22 schools he's built in the region.
When we finished the first school, I thought that would be it. But suddenly we found ourselves faced with a long line of people asking us to build schools in their villages too. And at the same time I was becoming increasingly concerned about the future of the Sherpas and felt that additional schools would help them cope with the ever-growing pressures of the outside world. So before we knew it, one school had turned into 22 schools.
And Hillary's involvement didn't end there. He's maintained monasteries, built many bridges, piped water to many villages, and built 2 hospitals. The first at Kundi in 1966. Run by a New Zealand doctor, it provides a free medical service to the 4,000 inhabitants of the Everest region. A newer hospital at Faflu serves an even larger population further to the south. It took him a year to build and cost $200,000. It was here, during its construction in 1975, that Hilary suffered the tragic loss of his wife and younger daughter. They were killed in a plane crash on their way to help with the project. Here at Chandrikaka, the second week's work has begun, and all's going according to plan.
Building this school is especially satisfying because I now feel convinced that the schools have been a great help. By providing a good general education, as well as a knowledge of English, the schools have enabled the Sherpas to turn the social and economic changes of the last 20 years to their own advantage. The Sherpas now run their own hotels, trekking organisations and businesses, and education has also given them an increased say in their future through local and central government. There are lots of bright young Sherpas around now who will be able to do a lot of good for their community.
His house. The men are climbing the mountain. The men are climbing the mountain. The men are climbing. The men are climbing. The men have climbed. The men have climbed. The mountain. The mountain. The mountain. The mountain. The men have climbed the mountain. The men have climbed the mountain.
The climb of Everest was obviously the physical high point of my life, but I wouldn't say it's the most satisfying thing I've ever done. I see it more as a stepping stone to more satisfying projects, particularly this work here in Nepal. It's quite exciting to watch a school rise up from its foundations and to see the rock I used to climb being fashioned into schoolhouse walls. And it's good to be able to repay the Sherpas in this small way for all the pleasure they and their mountains have given me.
After 3 weeks, only finishing touches remain. Space is left for skylights to make the rooms cheerful and bright. Yak dung and mud are carefully blended by a local volunteer, the mixture repelling both wind and rain. And nearby, the children are making their special contribution, a rock garden. Another school is almost complete, and Hilary can soon resume the journey that's to take him with the migrating yaks to a sacred lake near Everest. And tomorrow, his son Peter will be flying in to join him. Peter has landed just 23 miles from Everest at Lukla airfield, built by Hilary to serve as a quick emergency link with the outside world, and now a busy entry point for tourists and trekkers.
Oh, hi Peter, good to see you.
How's everything going?
Yeah.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's a lovely day, isn't it?
From the airfield, they head for the first stop on their journey through the mountains, the main Sherpa villages that lie beyond the gorges of the great Dudh River. Before them now, some of the most awe-inspiring Himalayan peaks. Ahead, Tham Serku, almost 22,000 feet above sea level, first climbed by an expedition led by Hilary in 1964. Kangtega, first climbed by Hillary's 1963 expedition. And beyond them now, 9 miles beyond them and over 4 miles high, Nepal's most spectacular peak, Amadablam, once thought to be unclimbable. It means much to Hillary, for the expedition he led in 1961 did climb it. But it means far more to Peter Hillary. In 1979, he and 3 others attempted one of the hardest climbs ever undertaken in the Himalayas, a route directly up this, the unclimbed western face of the mountain. They were near the top with the hardest climbing behind them, when suddenly their dreams of success were shattered. An avalanche swept down on them, killing one of the party and leaving Peter badly injured and perilously disabled. His ice axe and crampon swept away, his left arm broken. For 2 appalling days and nights, he and the other survivors inched their way on damaged ropes back down the steep face, Peter's chances of survival growing slimmer each day. Finally, on the 3rd day, a team of Austrian climbers reached them, and at last their ordeal was over. Far below the great peaks, yet higher than almost any other settlements on Earth, the main Sherpa villages of Khumjung and Kundi. It's early spring, and the soil that's lain frozen throughout the winter has thawed enough for the Sherpas to plant their staple food, the potato.
I get quite a thrill every time I come back to these 2 main Sherpa villages. There's so much here that's pleasantly familiar. There's also the thought of soon being reunited with so many old friends. I always feel a warm sense of belonging. Perhaps most of all, I enjoy visiting Mingma's house. Over the years, my family and I have spent a lot of time here, and it's like a second home to me.
Oh, Julie, namaste. Very good to see you.
As a welcoming treat, Mingma's wife Angduli prepares Tibetan tea, a distinctive blend of tea, salt and butter.
I've known Mingma and Angduli for almost 30 years now, and they're my closest Sherpa friends. Through them, I became a lot more conscious of the problems of Sherpa life, including the high incidence of infant mortality. Angduli herself lost 8 babies before the days of the hospital, but thankfully 3 of her children did survive. The oldest, Hangrita, is studying engineering in Kathmandu, and their youngest son, Datseri, a bright 13-year-old, shows even greater promise. Then there's Temba, who was born deaf due to iodine deficiency, another common problem 20 years ago. Now he makes a good living painting local landscapes in traditional style, complete with a yeti or 2 to sell to tourists.
No, the Everest. Segamata. What about these ones? Yak. Yak. Tungbochi Monastery. Well, that's a big one. What's that one there? Yeti. 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 What's this one?
Thank you, Angduli.
We Tibetan much logging. Children say all sweet tea.
Sweet tea.
Yes.
Maybe lagging, maybe not lagging.
Oh, lucky. Well, Mingma, it's good to be back in Kundi.
Yes.
Dasari's bound for Khumjung School, the first school Hillary built in the region. For Dasari and his friends from Kundi, the walk to school only takes 10 minutes. But some of his classmates have to walk for 3 hours to reach school, climbing thousands of feet in the process, and then walk for another 3 hours back to their homes at night. But to them, it's a small price to pay for a day with their friends at one of the best schools in Nepal, with a syllabus as broad as their journey is long. It's the mighty Khumjung School A's against their only possible rivals, the Khumjung School B's. They never play outside teams. That just wouldn't be fair, for these boys are probably invincible, at least on their home ground. Up here in the thin air of 13,000 feet, any visiting team would probably drop from exhaustion in the first 10 minutes of play, leaving the Khumjung boys more than somewhat advantaged for the remainder of the match. And today there's a further exciting item on their timetable, a welcome to the man who built their school. The giving of scarves is a Tibetan custom, a gesture of affection and respect.
I don't think I'll ever quite get used to these welcomes. Coming back here is always a moving experience anyway. This was the first school I built and the inspiration for the others. And it's also the school I'm most proud of. I feel I can pick a Khumjung student anywhere. They're always so much brighter and they speak such good English. And mostly they've done very well for themselves and their community.
And the welcome today is not only from the children. The entire village has come to school to greet their old friend and to watch the children dance in his honor.
It's really good to be in the company of so many old friends and to share their pride in the achievements of their children and grandchildren. And some, like my old friend Kappa Calvin here, have a great deal to be proud of. His son not only topped the school, but topped the whole of Nepal in the school leaving certificate, out of 19,000 students. I always feel a slight degree of apprehension about get-togethers like these. Any Sherpa gathering tends to become a somewhat festive occasion, with the local beer and spirits flowing rather freely, and mostly in my direction. And it's really quite a challenge to survive these functions in an upright position. But it's worth the risk, just to be in the company of so many good friends.
The trumpets are sounding the call to an even greater gathering, summoning the people from every village, calling the gods and spirits to gather here as well. And the people come and crowd the courtyard, and 80,000 gods and spirits crowd the air. It's the annual Mani Rimdu festival at Thami Monastery, the biggest, most looked forward to event of the year. A time for people from widely scattered villages to reunite and catch up with the latest goings-on. It's a time, too, for feasting and merriment. But above all, it's a time to be reminded of the wisdom of their Tibetan Buddhist faith through dance dramas performed by the monks. There's certainly no lack of religious vitality here. Many boys still join the monasteries for a period of months or years or for a lifetime. For the others, events like these play a large part in their spiritual education. So Daseri and his friends from Khumjung school, who yesterday learned rules of English grammar, are today reminded by the monks of other, more important rules. Some monks are dressed as demons, the ever-present forces of evil, always striving to lead people on the wrong path. Others are dressed as protective deities, sometimes just as fearsome to behold, yet good at heart and hell-bent on crushing the forces of evil. And always, good proves more powerful than evil. The good, it seems, always win out in the end. The rewards are peace and happiness. Finally comes the blessing, bestowed on each person by the 25-year-old abbot, who's been abbot since the age of 8. For as a young boy, he was believed to possess the mind and soul of the previous abbot who'd recently died. So the monks brought the boy here and installed him as a Rinpoche, a reincarnated Lama. With a touch of his sacred wand, he blesses each person, and each partakes of sacred pills believed to bestow long life. Then they anoint themselves with holy water to help ward off evil spirits and to protect them from disease. For another year, the forces of evil have been vanquished, and good prevails. Tonight, the people can rest peacefully in a purified world. In the village of Khumjung, a juniper fire burns, a sign that someone's about to start a journey. Pasang Tendi is leaving his family for a while to take his yaks high into the mountains, to their summer pastures at Gokyo Lake near Everest.
Pasang's a good old family friend, and we've done a lot together over the years. He's often trekked with my family and has worked on many of our building projects. And he's also a renowned high-altitude climber. But his greatest love has always been his large herd of yaks. And Peter and I are pretty excited about being invited to share his journey to the high pastures with him. I'm also looking forward to the chance it will afford to get a good close look at Everest again.
Yaks, one of the oldest, rarest, and certainly the highest-born members of the cattle kingdom. They address the world not with lowly moos, but with regal grunts. Their native home is Tibet, where some still live in the wild, but most are now domesticated, obeying various commands, even having their own names and answering to them. Unlike their herder Pasang, who's named after the day of the week he was born on, a common practice among Sherpas, each yak has a name derived from its color or physical features. This one he calls Mikta, black eyes. On they climb, Pasang and his long-haired livelihood. These shaggy supermarkets, well stocked with almost everything he needs. Rich milk, and from that yogurt, butter and cheese. Good meat, eaten freshly cooked or smoked. Wool, from which many things are made. The saddlebags and the cords and ropes that bind them. His warm cloak and the blankets that he'll sleep in tonight. Their hides are made into shoe leather, tough enough to take the rocky trails. Their dung makes excellent fuel and fertilizer, and their urine was once considered an effective medicine. Their strong backs earn good income carrying loads on trading, climbing and trekking expeditions. And Pasang sometimes even uses his yaks as ambulances to carry the sick to the Hillary hospitals. Their tails make excellent brooms and fly whisks, and some tails are even exported to be made into beards for their only rival in generosity, Santa Claus. Ahead, the welcome sight of Machurma, their resting place for the night. Tomorrow's climb to Gokyo Lake will be harder than today's has been. But even today, everyone's more than willing to drop their loads. The yaks are hungry. They've had little time to graze today, so Pasang's main food, the potato, is shared with them as well. Tonight, the yaks will sleep within strong stone enclosures, for there could be danger here. Recently, just yards from here, a woman from Pasang's village claims to have been knocked unconscious and had 3 of her yaks killed by that elusive ape-like creature, the Yeti. Pasang's never seen one, but he's sure they do exist. Hillary isn't quite so sure, but both he and Pasang do agree that there's one other very real danger here: wolves. They normally work in pairs, one wolf grabbing the yak's tail while the other makes a frontal attack. This yak managed to save itself, but not without a certain loss of dignity. So, all through the night, Pasang's dog will stand guard, and as an added safeguard, each yak wears a bell to attract attention if attacked. From within his hut, Pasang can tell simply from the rhythm of the bells whether even the slightest thing is disturbing them.
Does your big dog frighten the wolves away, or he can do that? Yes. Yeah. But now there are not so many wolves here. You know, from this side, Cholatsi's a pretty massive sort of thing, isn't it?
It's a beautiful peak.
It is a beautiful peak.
Actually, it's incredible to me that it's still unclimbed, such a big peak around here.
But from the other side, you know, it's a really sharp point. But here, it's, you know, much more massive.
Yeah, it's very spectacular over there.
I guess you get like some of those ridges there.
Yeah, perhaps
Breathe hard enough.
Sure.
The final day on the trail for Pasang and his yaks and his 2 apprentices. All going well, by mid-afternoon, they'll be at Gokyo Lake.
Yaks understand all the different noises you make? Yeah, those are what do they all mean? I mean,
away, going, cool.
yeah.
Downside going, dim.
Oh, downside, the other side. Yes, same. Yeah.
Yellow, malo.
The yak trail to Gokyo holds many memories for Hilary. He was among the first foreigners to travel it in 1952 on his way to cross a pass into Tibet. And that mountain ahead, astride the border with Tibet, was one of the peaks he attempted in training for Everest. It's Choyo, the 7th highest mountain in the world, 26,500 feet above sea level. Down here, the altitude's barely 15,000 feet. But even here, there's only about half as much oxygen in the air as at sea level, and everyone's noticing it. Everyone, that is, except the yaks. Endowed by nature with extra-large hearts and lungs, they just plod happily along at their standard 1.5 miles an hour. The first of a series of moraine lakes, high, remote, yet not devoid of life. The coming of spring has brought some migratory visitors, a pair of Brahmani ducks. Most of the year they spend down with the tigers and crocodiles in the tropical jungles of lowland Nepal. But they come up here to have their young. There, ahead of them, at a height of 15,500 feet, their destination, Gokyo Lake. Its shores adorned with prayer flags placed there by pilgrims. For this is a holy lake, on whose surface at certain times visions are said to appear.
Oh, it'll be nice to spend a few days here.
Beautiful spot.
For Pasang and his yaks, the journey's over. Soon the females will have their young, and soon Pasang's family will come up to join him. And together they'll spend the summer here, grazing their yaks on the grass that'll flourish with the coming monsoon rains. For Hilary, the journey's not over yet. He plans to climb higher, far beyond the grazing yaks, to once again encounter Everest. Overnight, the first pre-monsoon snowfall, and with it, a happy event. It's a female, not a yak, but a nak, the name the Sherpas give to the female of the species. The birth of females is a special joy for Pasang, for within a matter of years they'll be producing young of their own, further increasing his herd. This little knack will probably give birth to about 15 babies during her expected 20-year lifespan. And day by day his herd increases. Soon there are 10 calves in all. For the first 2 days of their life, they stay safely in their enclosure. But when they reach the grand old age of 3 days, it's time for them to join their parents in their normal grazing activities. The daily search for the choicest grass, whether it lies across icy rivers or high up 20,000-foot hills. The snow clouds have vanished. The peaks are crystal clear, and Hillary's off through the thinning air. He's bound for a close view of Everest. To obtain it, he has to climb 1,500 feet, as far as he had to climb that final day on Everest when he and Tenzing left their highest camp in their bid for its unclimbed summit.
I think we were reasonably optimistic when we set off that morning in 1953, but I was concerned about the length of time the climb might take. If it took too long and the oxygen in our cylinders ran out, the scientists had warned us that we might just drop dead. The long slope up to the south summit worried us too. The snow was soft and steep. The whole slope seemed likely to avalanche. And I think on any other mountain we would have turned back. Finally, we reached the south summit and looked along the narrow, unknown ridge towards the top. It was a pretty impressive sight, but I thought I could see a route. For 2 more hours, we plugged our way upwards, getting more and more tired, and wondering somewhat desperately where the top might be. Suddenly, to my delight, I noticed that the ridge ahead, instead of rising, dropped steeply away into Tibet. A few more weary steps, and I stood on top of Everest.
It must have been an incredible feeling being on the top.
Well, it was a pretty good feeling, I guess, although I don't remember ever jumping up and down for joy at any moment. I think we were tired and we still had a long way to get down again. I think the best moment was when we actually finally got down into the Western Coombe to meet all our companions and know that the worst of the difficulties and dangers were behind.
This is the BBC Home Service. Here is the news. Mount Everest has been conquered by members of the British expedition. The news reached London in a message to the Times from Colonel H.C.J. Hunt, the expedition's leader. It said that Mr. E.P. Hillary, a New Zealander, and Tenzing Bhutia, a Sherpa, had reached the summit last Friday, May 29th. The message added, all is well. Successful assault on Everest is the 11th attempt that's been made to scale the 29,000-foot mountain in the past 30 years. In New Zealand, tremendous cheering broke out in the Parliament buildings in Wellington when the Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Ollivier, gave the news at an official Coronation Day ceremony. It is the 4th time that Mr. Hillary has been on expedition to the Himalayas. He learnt climbing in the New Zealand Alps.
27 years later, there's something else to celebrate. Something far dearer to Hillary and the people of Everest. Today's the official opening of his newly finished school. People have come from far and near. Future pupils have summoned any kind of transport to come and get a first glimpse of their school. There are the present-day pupils who carried the wood and built the rock garden. There are proud parents and grandparents and others quite unconnected with the school. For today also marks the opening of the Hillary-funded health clinic that occupies a room of the building. And some of the teachers have seized the chance to try and drum up some patients. Do you suffer from sore eyes? Are you plagued by headaches, stomach aches, coughing fits and fleas? Why suffer longer when relief's so close at hand? Come to the health clinic, partake of its pills, cough syrup, eye drops, flea powder, and seek the advice of the health worker and doctor. So the village has its health clinic and the children their new school. And tomorrow, for the 45th time, Hillary will bid his friends a brief farewell. Next year, there's a hospital to be extended, a new bridge to be built, and further tasks more satisfying and more lasting than a footprint on a mountaintop.
We hope that many more children will come to school and get good learning, and we will always be prepared to help with further expansion and more children come. On behalf of the Himalayan Trust and all those who have helped build this school, I have much pleasure now in declaring the school open.